Hi, welcome to Memme's Kitchen, and today we're making a New England favorite called whoopie pies. The recipe actually comes from a cookbook my sister-in-law sent me in 1981 called Cook It in Massachusetts. And I love these old recipes because there's always something fun to find. My grandson bought me this New England cookbook for my birthday one year, and I love recipes out of that. This is a community cookbook that was done by the women in my little town in Williamstown, Massachusetts. In 1957, I think they did this one. And I love local cookbooks. I bought the Dairy Creek cookbook, and I'm looking at things to do from there. But today we're gonna do whoopie pies. And there's some dispute between New England and Pennsylvania as to who invented whoopie pies. But I know that whoopie pies are the state treat in Maine. So you can go up there and find wicked good whoopie pies. But we're gonna make our own today. So we're gonna make the classic. And it begins with a cup of sugar, 1 egg, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 5 tablespoons of powdered cocoa, and you can use whatever brand you like. You can use the extra dark. It'll all taste delicious, but you want the cocoa powder for this. And 5 tablespoons of shortening instead of butter that uses the original uses shortening. And this one is marked on the side, but I have half a cup here, which is 8 tablespoons. So I'm just gonna use the measurement guides and get my 5 tablespoons that I can put right in the bowl, and I'm able to save that in a little container for later. And then 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Kind of gather our dishes out of the way here, and a cup of milk. And I let the egg come to room temperature and the milk come to room temperature, and it kind of just blends everything a little more easily. And I'm just gonna use my mixer to get it all mixed up, and then we'll be ready to make the whoopie pies, to bake them. They're like a little cake. So they look like a cookie, but they're a little cake texture, and you can see that it's mixing up just beautifully here. Doesn't take very long. And then we're gonna put it by tablespoons onto our baking sheet, and we will bake it at 425. It only takes 7 minutes to bake them, so they're kind of a quick treat to make. And then we'll need to make the filling as well. We're back again. You can see how thick that this batter is. It only took a couple minutes to set up, and I'm just going to drop it by a tablespoonful onto the baking pan, and I'm going to use a tablespoon and make like a little cookie shape, and that'll bake up and puff up, and that'll become our one side of our whoopie pie. It says it makes 40 cookies, which would make 20 whoopie pies, because we need 2 sides to our little whoopie pie sandwich. So we'll see. I never know, depending on how big I tend to make them or what's going on, but it'll be ready to go in after it cools and bakes for 7 minutes and then cools. Okay, we'll see you on the other side with cooked whoopie pies. We're back again and ready to do the filling for our whoopie pies. Very simply, half a cup of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, and I love these little liquid measures that look like beakers from OXO because I can get just a teaspoon in and I'm not spilling it off of a measuring spoon. A quarter of a teaspoon of salt, just a little bit of flavoring there for the salt, and half a cup or 8 tablespoons of the shortening. And then what's really gonna make that flavor sweet is the marshmallow fluff. And when I lived in New England, we had marshmallow fluff. Out here we have jet puffed marshmallow. So either way, you can do it. This is 7 ounces, calls for half a cup, so we can take just about half of this and put it in. Ooey gooey sweet fun. All right, now we're gonna just mix up our ingredients here. Start very slowly because the powdered sugar wants to go all over. And this will make a nice dense filling that we can put into our whoopie pies. And you can see it's just about all incorporated together. So we're ready to use that as our filling when our whoopie pies are cool. And I'm going to show you in a minute how I'm going to adjust our recipe and do something really We're back again. I forgot one ingredient for the filling, and that was some 3 tablespoons of softened butter. It looked a little bit thick to me, and I double checked my recipe. So don't forget that 3 tablespoons of butter to add to it. Let me incorporate that really quickly, and then we'll be ready to do our 2 variations on our filling. This will be a little bit sweet and a little bit buttery. It's almost like a buttercream frosting that we're doing. Okay, and that's all set to add our special powder ingredient. All right, we're ready. I happen to have some raspberry powder in my cupboard that I did for another recipe, and so I'm gonna add a little bit of raspberry powder, not too much. It's pretty strong. You can see the color is wonderful. So I'm gonna add that to half of our filling, and this will make a raspberry filling, and raspberry and chocolate really go together well. So we'll be ready as soon as these are done and the whoopie pies are cool to put them together, and we'll have our finished whoopie pies ready to eat. Hi, we're back. We're ready to do our finished whoopie pies. I took them out of the oven, flipped them over so that they could cool inside, and I'm ready to just frost the inside with a little bit of our filling, and depends on how much you like. Put them together, and there's a finished whoopie pie. I also can make the strawberry ones. So I'm gonna get a little bit of a strawberry filling in there, a raspberry filling, sorry, in there. And we're ready for taste testing. And I'm gonna do another raspberry. I love the raspberry. So I'm gonna do that. And of course, I'm going to have to try a bite to see if they were worth all of our efforts. But I know you'll have fun making whoopie pies. And let me take a test. The cake is just nice and moist and soft. And the raspberry is sweet. And we're ready to enjoy dessert. Have fun.